But first off, we will do you a classified check of the football rugby. And thanks, Sam. We've got the hockey scores in now as well, so we'll go through these for you. Friends Provident International FA Cup preliminary round. Douglas Athletic 3, Old Boys 1. Governors Athletic 0, Corinthians 15. Gyms 2, Michael United 1. That was after extra time. Maloo 2, Castletown 4. Morown 1, St Mary's 4. Onken 0, St George's 5. Peel 4, Russian United 3. St John's United 13, Douglas and District 0. And Union Mills 0, Pulrose 2. In the Canada Life Premier League, the basement battle, it was Ramsey 2, Douglas Royal 3. Canada Life Combination 1, St Mary's 1, Corinthians 7. And Braddon 3, Ramsey 3. And in Combination 2, it was Michael United 1, Governors Athletic 2. And Pulrose United 6, Foxdale 1. Moving on to rugby, and in North 1 West, it was Northwich 30, Douglas 17. In South Lancashire Cheshire Division 2, Marple 52, Vagabonds 5. And in South Lancashire and Cheshire Division 3 South, it was Ramsey 29, Oxton Parkonians 10. Shimon Wilson Manx Plate, Emerging Nomads 32, Vagabonds B 67. And in the Shimon Wilson Manx Shield, Castletown 30, Southern Nomads 108. And in hockey, finally, PwC Men's Premier League, Backers B 1, Vikings A 11, Ramsey A 5, Valkyries A 4, Vikings B 0, Backers A 4. PwC Men's Division 1, Backers Colts 0, Castletown A 12, Harlequins A 0, Saracens 4. And in PwC Men's Division 2, we've got Castletown B 4, Saracens 1. And then PwC Women's Premier League, it was Backers A 1. We'll double check that score in a bit. Harlequins A 2, Castletown A 5, and Vikings A 4, Valkyries A 0. And in Women's Division 1, Backers Colts 7, Ramsey B 1. In Women's Premier League, it was Backers A 1, Ramsey A 0. Saracens A 0, Vikings B 4 in Division 1. Valkyries B 4, Harlequins B 0. And Valkyries C 1, Castletown B 0. Right, we'll go to the football. And Tony, we've got plenty to cram in this evening, so we'll get things moving. Lots of goals in the Friends Provident FA Cup today. Let's go to the match that you were at first. This was the big one, really. The Old Firm, Peel 4, Russian 3, and you were treated to a great game and a heck of a start and a really frenetic opening 20 minutes, really. 4 goals in that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was a bit worried I wasn't going to be down there for 1:30, but it was about a minute late start and just got myself into position and bang, the first one went in. Lee Gale, whether it was a cross, whether it was a shot, let's say it was a shot because it caught out the keeper and it just went straight over the top and into the goal it went, 1-0. But then Josh Kelly got one back to make it 1-1 and thought game on, and scoring against his old club, it's always nice. But then Peel got their second of the game to go 2-1 ahead, and then 2-2 when Matty Kane scored to make it all level, all to play for. And then I thought Russian had their best part of the game towards the end of the first half, start the second half, and I thought this is going to turn out quite interesting. But then up pops young Billy Kenyuk to make it 3-2, and what a play he is and what a finish. You know, I don't know what age he is, 18, 19, and to take it like he did and then to round the defender and put it in, absolutely fantastic. And then Lee Gale got his hat-trick as third of the game, and it was comfortable for them in the end. And then you just thought that was it, all over. And then Russian got one back, and I've got to say the goalkeeper spilled it, and Josh Kelly was there to put it in to make it 4-3. Great game to watch. I would have liked it to go to extra time because it had a bit of everything in there. Red card towards the end. Josh Thomas was sent off for, not too sure what it was, but it was a yellow then a red, so he must have been booked earlier on. I missed that one, but it's Peel that go through, and Russian will be disappointed after a good performance towards the end of the first and towards 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the second half.
probably the shock of the day. Tell me if you think otherwise, Tony. Douglas Athletic 3, Old Boys 1.
Yeah, the first information I got from this was that Douglas Athletic were 1-0 up. Lee Ford scored, and Lee Ford against his old club. I don't know how many Junior Cup medals Lee's got in his cabinet, but they were one playing for Douglas High School Old Boys. So it's always nice to play against your old club, and you got to remember Brian Gartland as well, Douglas Athletic's manager, and it was all going well for Douglas Athletic. Then Callum Stewart got one back for Douglas High School Old Boys to make it 1-1. Then I'm missing the next two scorers, Ed, if you've got them there.
For Douglas Athletic,
yeah.
Connor Dowell and Steve Cowan. I'll give you that actually, Tony, because
Okay.
I've got the results on another sheet here. So we've done that one, and we've done that one. Okay, moving on, a couple of huge scores. Let's go to those ones next. Governors Athletic, bottom of JCK Division 2, against Corinthians, top of the Premier League. 15-0, but it was only 3-0 at half-time.
Yeah, it was 3-0 down at half-time, and Sean Doyle got the first, Steve Whitley got the second one, and 2 minutes later Steve Whitley got his second of the game to make it 3-0 at half-time. But then it wasn't long before Sean Doyle got his scoring boots back on again. He got the fourth. Ryan Gartland, who's transferred back to Corinthians just before the deadline, 5-0, 6-0. One of the rising stars in Manx football, Luke Murray, very impressive player. Steve Whitley completed his hat-trick to make it 7-0. Then Whitley got another one to make it 8-0. And then on 9-0 it was Sean Doyle, penalty, keeper save first effort, but then Sean put the second one away. Sean Doyle got the 10th, then the 11th. His striking partner, Dan Simpson, got his name on the score sheet. Sean Doyle got the 12th, then Andrew Williamson got his name on the score sheet with the 13th. Then Sean Doyle made it 14, and then Steve Whitley from the penalty spot made it 15. And just to give you some stats, total 15 attempts to score the first goal and 33 goal attempts in the first half, 43 goal attempts in the second half. Credit to Governors, none of them gave up, tried right the way through at the end, but just shows you top of the Premier League, bottom of Division 2, the Gulf.
Indeed, it does. Gyms 2, Michael United 1. Hard-fought victory for Gyms here after extra time. From what I saw on Twitter as well, Gyms were a little aggrieved about the Michael goal, which apparently was a bit controversial. Came right at the end of the match. I think it was 90 plus 4 minutes of injury time. So they'll be pleased that they made it through after that, I think.
Yeah, and it's always one of those, isn't it? Judging of extra time that's added on. It's how the referee sees it. If it's been wasting of time, which could happen, free kicks, substitutions, whatever, it can all be taken into account. But as you rightly say, they scored in the 94th minute. Tommy Callow, I think it was, who got the first one for Gyms. Adam Johnson got the second one. It was 0-0 at half time, and as I say, 1-1 at full time. And it was halfway through the first half of extra time where Gyms got that goal. So well done to them. And unfortunately, Michael go out.
Southern Derby, Maloo 2, Castletown 4, and that man Alex Crawley cannot stop scoring. 4th consecutive match that he's got a hat-trick in.
Well, we'll ask Richard's comments in a minute because he played in that game today, but it was 1-1 at half-time. Dean Kinley, I think Richard might have something to say about his goal. Darren Flanagan got the second one, but as you say, 4th successive hat-trick for Alex Crawley. Paddy Cooper got the other one, and absolutely brilliant result. Was it a true reflection of the game, Fort?
Yeah, I think so. Like a Southern Derby, it's always going to be a bit feisty. I think it was that in sort of the first half. Like, we went 1-0 up. Quite a lucky goal, really. I think it was meant to be a cross, deflection off there. Lad sort of looped over the keeper. But like you said before, Dean Kinley 10 seconds before half time, 30 yards out, top corner. I mean, it really was a fantastic strike. You've got to give it to the lad. Brilliant strike. And then we got a good talking to at half time by Gary Sansbury. Bit of a shouting at. But yeah, no, second half we came out, we got an early goal and then went 4-1 up, and then I think it was last 5 minutes, I think they pulled one back and we thought, oh, we've got to get tight here now. So, but luckily we saw it out. But I think the referee did really well in that game, because I think it could have gone down south very easily. But I think it's the first game I've ever played where there's not been a red card in the Southern Derby, so credit to him.
Good job, and you're in the hat as well, so we'll wait and see what you're going to pull out of the bag very shortly.
OK, we'll continue. St Mary's, they won 4-1 against Moran, but didn't have it all their own way. It was 1-1 at half-time, 1-1 going in quite a bit into the second half, I think, Tony. And then they brought on the big guns, St Mary's, Steve Priestnell, Brian Crellin. and they did the business for them.
Yeah, it was quite interesting what you were saying before. Steve Priestlow and Brian Crellin were on the subs bench, so it just shows that whether it's injury or whatever, I'm not too sure. But Connor Gilbert got the goal for Moran. Well done, Connor. And for St Mary's, it was Carl Clark on the score sheet once again. He scored last week. Stephen Priestlow with 2, and he might have lost a little bit of pace, but my word, he's on form in front of goal at the moment. And Brian Crellin got the other one. So great result for St Mary's. They're a great cup side, and they'll be hoping to progress further in this FA Cup.
Onchan 0, St George's 5. No huge surprises there, I don't think, with that result, Tony.
No, not really, because St George's are still 1 or 2 players missing. Kieran McNulty with 2 goals today. Furo Davies, who's banging form as well, he got 1. Sean Quay, and Sam Kane got the other one. And the description we got from Johnny Myers was an absolute belter. So well done to Sam. Great result for St George's. Onchan, I think that's a reasonable performance. There's Division 2 sides before come across St George's and got absolutely battered. I remember one a few years ago against Douglas Royal. Big result, I think it was 24-25. So that's quite impressive, I think, for Onchan.
Speaking of those great goals and mentioning Dean Kinley's before, we did get a text in saying that's his his third from around 35 yards or over 35 yards, according to this text, in 4 games. So Dean Kinley is on fire in front of goal as well, or a long way from goal by the sounds of it. Another huge score here, St John's 13, Douglas and District 0.
I haven't got the half-time score, but I knew it was relatively tight. I think it was something like 4 or 5-0. But the star today was Richard Wynne. He got 5. Paul Whitehead, who's only recently signed for St John's, I think, scored 4. Rhys Oates got a couple of goals. Nathan Kelly got 1. And Sam Beatty, one of the good young players that are coming through the system there at St John's, got the other goal. So good day there for St John's, Douglas and District. I've seen the gap that there is between the 2 leagues.
And Paul Rose, finally, 2-0 against Union Mills.
Yeah, good result for them, because Union Mills are quite capable of mixing it with the big teams. Mark Priestnell got 1, and Stevie Glover got the other goals. Good to see Stevie back. I think he's been struggling a bit with injury, and I've had a text through from Paul Guyver asking, can we play one of the big boys? So we'll see what Richard pulls out of the bag later on, and see if we can find him a juicy fixture.
We'll see what we can do for you, exactly. And let's just mention quickly as well, Canada Life Premier League, because there was the one match today. It was important. It was at the bottom side. In fact, Ramsey facing Douglas Royal, who were just above them, and Royals, crucially, won.
Big result for Douglas Royal. I know Ramsey have got games in hand and they need a big result somewhere along the line, but Douglas Royal, they needed to win this one. And Jacob Crooks, one of the good young players coming through, James Halliday, and Jack Kamada, who is hopefully our guest for Football Focus next Friday, because Jack's got a trial this week and we're going to try and link it in with his dad to find out how he's got on. But for Ramsey, Dominic Parrish scored from the penalty spot, and Mike Valerga got the other one. So Ramsey be disappointed, but 3-2, it just shows that there are goals starting to come, and an improvement by the sound of it, because they've had a couple of tasty defeats and it can knock you, but today they showed a bit of steel amongst them.
Now, by my calculations, that puts Douglas Royal onto 11 points, which means that they go up into 10th place at the expense of Colby, who are also on 11, but Douglas Royal have now got 1 goal better goal difference. And then it's Braddon on 10 points, then Ramsey bottom on 4. I think it's time for the draw, isn't it, Tony? Or the draws, in fact. Let's do the draws.
Hopefully we've got it 100%, because it's been really tight for time to get this all right. But I think I've got it right.
Okay.
Richard, I'm going to let you draw them out.
And can I have the sheet so I can make a note of these? Thank you, Tony. Okay.
So I'm going to let Richard do the home and the away, but
can you try and stay near your mic as well,
I will,
please?
because he's a Castletown player, we'll make sure, and it's in front of the camera, that he can't see into the back.
Number 4.
Number 4, that's Corinthians.
Number 9.
That's number 9 is Laxey.
Number 8.
Number 8 is Jim's.
Number 2
versus Castletown.
Lovely. Number 13.
Number 13 is Ramsey.
We'll play number 7.
That is Foxdale or Braddon, whose match was postponed today.
Number 10.
Number 10 is Peel.
Number 12.
Ramsey Youth Centre.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Douglas Athletic
Number 6.
versus Douglas Royal.
Number 11.
Number 11 is Pulrose.
Number 15.
There's your big boy.
St John's.
Number 16.
That's Mary's
Number 1.
against Ayr United.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Colby.
Number 14.
Number 14, which is the final one,
Yep.
is it by my reckoning? Yep, that's St George's. So St George's have just played at Colby today, funnily enough, as well. So there we go. So we'll just go through this for you again. This is the Friends Provident first round FA Cup draw. Corinthians against Laxey, Jims against Castletown, Ramsey against Foxdale or Braddon, Peel against Ramsey Youth Centre, Douglas Athletic against Douglas Royal, Pulrose versus St John's, St Mary's versus Ayr, and Colby against St George's. Tony, those ties to be played?
I think it's about 3 or 4 weeks yet, because we've got 2 weeks of fixtures, then the Woods Cup, and then it's the FA Cup, I think, the week after.
Okay, so in a few weeks
Yeah,
we'll nail
weeks.
that down
Yep.
closer. Okay, should we move straight to the Woods Cup preliminary round as well? Let's get this
If we
one
can.
done as well, guys.
We should
Excuse me.
have. We've got the bag.
13 teams, so 10 matches. 10 teams going into the 5 matches, 3 buys. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We're just checking them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Give it a good shuffle.
Okay, there we go. Checking everything's above board there.
Yep.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Governors Athletic.
Number 9.
Number 9, Michael United.
Number 13.
Number 13 is Union Mills.
Number 12.
Is Ramsey Youth Centre.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Douglas and District
Number 6.
against Jims.
Number 8.
Number 8, Marown
Number 10.
against number 10, that's Onken.
Number
one.
7.
Number 7, Maloo.
Number 11.
Number 11, that's Pulrose. I was wondering if you were going to pull out number 2 there, Richard, and get another Southern derby. Okay, so those are the ties, and let's just cross Pulrose off. So by my reckoning, Foxdale, Castletown, Ayr United are the 3 that have the buys, because the matches are Governors Athletic against Michael United, Union Mills against Ramsey Youth Centre, Douglas and District against Jims, Marown against Onken, and Maloo against Pulrose.
So you've got a nice week off when the Woods Cup's on for Castletown, which is good. But just looking at those, Division 2 is always interesting because it's a cup competition that they all strive for, because they're in sort of the standard that they're comfortable with. Governors Athletic against Michael, you'd fancy your chances possibly there with either of those two sides winning. Union Mills against Ramsey Youth Centre. Ramsey Youth Centre struggled a little bit of late, but they've had a couple of results of late, so they might be able to get that Union Mills. D&D against Jims, that's open. D&D might just edge it, but Jims are in good form. Moran against Onken, right next to each other. I know Onken are above them in the league table, but Moran have put some good results together. And Maloo against Pulrose, you wouldn't bet against that one as well. So that's, to me, one of the best draws you could have asked for in Division 2. They're wide open, all those games.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Just a few messages in here. Someone saying Billy Kennick's 17, so that's even more
17,
impressive,
yeah,
apparently,
yeah.
so if he's 17. And didn't know Tony could count so high. That's unfair. That's unfair. Right, thanks very much to Tony Mepham and to Richard Foden from Friends Provident and Castletown FC.